Hey guys, it is Gwen here from Gettin Personal. I'm going to be showing you a tutorial for your Glowforge. This is my very first Glowforge tutorial on how to make this cute Tic Tac Toe board. We're doing a fall themed one, but you can really use the elements from this for just about any theme you can think of. I'm even going to show you how to design the file because yeah, you can design this one too. I do work a lot in Silhouette Studio, so if that's the software you use, this is going to be a breeze. If not, you can kind of figure out how to vary it over there. You're going to notice the background looks a little crazy today because I am coming to you from Levi's nursery. We're in the midst of moving our whole house around. I'm going to have a different craft room set up, so I can't wait to show you guys all of that soon. But for now, I'm going to show you how to put this fun little project together. Alright, so I'm going to show you kind of the back end of how we designed this file, put it all together. It's actually pretty simple, but I'm going to show you how you can customize it to anything you want. Now, I'm showing you our fall design, but I did also create, let me see if I can show you this real quick, one that's pretty fun. It's Yuma themed. I live in Yuma, Arizona. It's hot, it's the desert, but I made this fun one that's kind of colorful, and it's got all the little Arizonas and the little mini cactuses. So you can really customize this design however you want it to be, but I'm going to be showing you how we set up this fall one. So the first thing you're going to want to do is come into your design software. I use Silhouette Studio. I started with a Silhouette Cameo as my first kind of craft machine, and I found, you know, my happy place in their design studio, and I know it well, so this is what I work in the majority of the time. You will need Business Edition. Now, you can download Silhouette Studio even if you are not using a Silhouette. You can get the free software and download it without the Silhouette Cameo machine or any of the Silhouette software or any of the Silhouette equipment, but for exporting SVGs you are going to want the Business Edition, which is a one-time upgrade that you can do, but again, you do not need the machine to do this. But we're going to start over here in the drawing tools area. I'm going to be drawing a rounded rectangle. I like the round corners. Now you can do whatever shape you want, but this is just how I set mine up. Come back over here to the select tool. So I've got my shape here. These little red dots, let me zoom in just a little so you can see what I'm doing. These little red dots will let you determine how round you want your corners to be. Right about there, looks good to me. And now anytime you create something, you're going to want to right click and then convert to path. Basically what you're telling the computer is that this is a shape and that it knows what to do. So this is the basic of your shape here. You're going to want two of these. Now this is the file that I'm actually having available, so let me see what size I'm working off here. I made these fairly small so I could get several of them on a sheet. Let me see, we've got, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate from this one. But you can see the measurements there. It's 5.336 wide by 5.892 tall. So I'm just going to delete this extra one that I created, just so I can keep this all uniformed here. And now this shape, your base shape, you're going to need two of these. So go ahead and duplicate that one so they're the exact same size. Duplicate. Because you're going to want two that are the exact same size because they're going to layer together, kind of, just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. These two pieces are going to go together. We'll talk a little bit about that when I put the whole thing together. So now you're going to want your little squares. So you're going to come back to that same drawing tool. I like to keep with the rounded rectangles. And this is going to be your little square that's actually going to hold your shapes. This is the actual tic-tac-toe part of the whole thing. So for this size, I used 1.439. So we're going to come up here. We're going to put in 1.439. And then I'm going to put the same over here, 1.439. So now it's a nice little square. And again, I'm going to convert to path. And now for this, we're going to need 9 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate, and space them out across my board. So now I've got 3, and I'm going to highlight all 3 of those, and so that they're spaced properly, I'm going to come over here to the transformation panel. It's the one that's got those 3 kind of funky lines on it, and I'm going to make sure that they are vertically middle aligned and then horizontally spaced. So now that's got that spaced out perfect for me, and I don't have to play with that anymore. I'm going to go ahead and group those together though, pull them up just a little bit, and then I'm going to duplicate that twice over. Right click, duplicate, and then right click, duplicate again, and pull that one down to further down. Now I'm going to highlight all 3 of those, and again we're going to horizontally center align them and then vertically space them. And I probably need to give it a little bit more space over here. Pull this up a little bit more. Right, that should be good. I'll highlight all of them again, and then vertically spaced. Sometimes it just takes playing around with a little bit to find your spacing, but that looks pretty good to me. Yeah. So now I'm going to group them all together just so that they don't lose their spacing, but those are all grouped together now. And then you can add something fun across the top here. Like I said, for the oops, goodness, guys. For this Yuma themed one, I went ahead and just put Yuma, Arizona across there. You could add a name up there. For this one, I'm just going to put Tic Tac Toe and keep it simple. If you were working in somewhere that was like a regional space or even like a gift shop for like a local area, you might put something about them up there. But for this one, we're just going to keep it simple, Tic Tac Toe. Or if you want to offer these personalized, you could definitely do that too. So just put it in this font. Size it down to fit in this space right up top here. And technically, you don't have to put anything here either. You could leave that blank, but I like having a little something up there. Center it in your space. And anytime you're adding text, you're definitely going to want to convert it to a path or weld, depending upon if it has any overlapping pieces. This one does not. Go ahead and group that together, and that's going to sit there. Now, I don't want the machine to cut this part, so you do want to come in here and change its color. We'll just make it blue. And so now the machine can read that as a separate option. So now my pieces are set up for my actual board, but now we've got our game pieces. So for this one, like I said, I'm doing a fall theme, and I'll kind of show you how we're putting that all together afterwards. So I've got pumpkins and leaves, but you can really make any shape you wanted. If you wanted to just do an X and O, you could definitely use your text option, do an X and O, and just a basic font, ungroup them, and then fit them to fit inside of your boxes, because that is the one important part, is you want them to set in there. So if you wanted just the X and O, you could do that. Size it down to fit inside of your box, and you're going to want 5 of each. Now for my Arizona, or my Yuma Arizona themed one over here, what I did was a cactus in an Arizona shape. So you'll want to size those down to fit in there, and you'll want 5 of each. So one you will have to have extra. That's why I've got kind of this lone little pumpkin over here, because obviously there's only 9 squares. Now for my Arizona one, I did cactuses and a little Arizona shape. If you wanted to do the same shape all the way through, you could do that too and maybe paint them different colors. That's an option as well. But you're just going to want to space those out to fit into all your spots. Fit in there. You can see I've already got that laid out, so I'm not going to worry about that part. So we're just going to cut this off, because now I've shown you how to put that together. Chop that out of here. Pull this file over, because this is the one that's already spaced and ready to go. You're going to go File, Save As, because you're going to need this not to be saved in your Silhouette software. You're going to need it saved to your computer. So you're going to save to hard drive. Give it a name. We're going to call this Fall Tic Tac Toe Project, which I already have the file, so I'm not worried about saving it again. But you'll want to make sure you're saving it as an SVG. That's the important part for having the business edition of Silhouette Studio, because the other editions will not allow you to save as an SVG. It just doesn't have that option. But you'll want to save it as an SVG. Again, I already have it saved, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then you will want to pull it up into your Glowforge software, as I've got here. And I've already cut this project, so now I'm going to show you how we put it all together. Alright, so now I've got all my different pieces. I've got my little leaves down here. I've started painting them just because this part's kind of monotonous. But I've got my little leaves, my pumpkins, my backer piece, and my front piece. So the biggest trick of painting these, if you didn't already know this trick, is to take like a sponge and dab them rather than swiping them all over. So I've got a little bit of paint down here. Just going to dab this. Now you can set this down on the table and do it a lot easier, but my table is rocking all over the place and I don't want the camera making you guys sick. So I'm just going to dab that up, and now my little leaf is red. Now for this big front piece, because you've got this engraving up here, you're going to want to dab real lightly in that section, but you don't have to worry about painting this back section. We're going to do something pretty cool with that. So let me just get this part painted real quick, and then I will show you. I tried to stick them with some of the fall colors, and you will see what they all kind of match up to in just a second. But I'm going to take my paint down here. I've got a makeup wedge, and I'm just going to do real light across the top of here as to not get it down into the engraving. Fortunately, I'm using a light color, so even if I did get it down in there a little bit, it's still going to stand out pretty well. Dab, 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 dab. All this part nice and colored in. And then, of course, I'm going to do all of my down portions as well. Alright, so that is all nice and yellow. It looks a lot brighter on the screen, I promise. It's more of like a fall yellow. But it's actually called King's Gold, and so it's a little darker. But now, for this back piece, you could definitely paint this. You can keep it simple, you don't have to do anything crazy, but I like that little element of surprise. I show you on this Yuma one, I actually used a piece of tissue paper in the background there that had pretty flowers on it. But for this one, since we're going with fall, I've got this big sheet of scrapbook paper that's got this real fun plaid. Now, the upside is because of the size of this, you're going to get a couple of pieces out of a single piece of scrapbook paper. So I could probably do 4 different ones. But the trick is to cut it just a little bit smaller than what your piece is actually going to need. So see roughly where I need to cut it. And they don't have to be super perfect either. I'm going to cut this piece. Next time I will back the camera out a little more so you can see what I'm doing. So I got this piece here that's still going to need to be trimmed down a little bit. I cut it a little too big for this. Put it right here. Okay, see roughly where I need to trim this. Trim that piece out of there so now it will fit in this little section. Got a little bit down here. This part doesn't have to be perfect, which is probably my favorite part. So that piece is going to set right there on this backer board, and this piece will go on top of it. And once you get those all nice and centered up, obviously I need to straighten this out a little bit, but once you get those pieces all nice and centered up, you've got this really cool background that when you put your pieces on there, it just shines through. Now you can do that with all sorts of different prints. You could paint a pattern on the back there, but scrapbook paper is so easy, and because of the size of this, you can get several out of the same sheet of paper. But to stick that on there, I'm actually just using, I've had this bottle forever. It's just a Loctite adhesive spray. I'm going to put a little bit on the back here, so hang on just a sec. Just enough. You can't really see it, but there's sticky stuff on there. And this one happens to be a repositional adhesive, which is nice. Stick that in place there. Lay it down so that it's stuck to my backboard. Now, if you wanted to do something over the top of it, you definitely could. For instance, on this one, the paper was a little wrinkly, so having that top layer of Mod Podge laid it down real nice. So I just used a real simple Mod Podge. With this one, I'm not too worried about it because it's a nice thick scrapbook paper, so it's not going to go anywhere. Instead, on the back side of your front piece, you're going to put your glue right along all of these lines to make sure it sticks down real well. Get my glue open. I really like the Gorilla Wood glue. We use it for all sorts of projects, so we always have a couple bottles around the house. Ow! Trying to get this thing open is not easy when you're trying not to rock your table. Let me take some of this glue, right along here. It's probably way more than what I need, so I'll use something to dab some of the excess off. I'm going to take some up and down the lines, along my edges. This is where another one of those makeup sponges is going to come in handy. I'm going to take the other end of one that I painted with and kind of swipe it around a little. Make sure I don't get too crazy on all my pieces. What's that whole thing? Creativity is messy and I'm very creative. Yeah, that's the epitome of me. We're going to swipe this glue around just a little bit so that it's kind of even all over the place. Got some along that bottom rim. And then we're just going to line it up with our piece. Now, fortunately, this glue does dry clear, so if I have any overhang, it's not a big deal. But I'm going to line my edges up so they're all nice and flush together. Push down nice and hard on it. Now you can use clamps, you could put something else on top of it to apply some weight to it. Just anything that's going to help keep those pieces pushed together so that it dries nicely. And then you've pretty much got your set all ready to go. You've got all your little shape pieces that you can pop in there, and you're ready to play tic-tac-toe. Oh no, I didn't win on that one. But that is the gist of the whole, how to set up the file, how to put it together. You can personalize this any way you want to your locale or anything in between. But thanks for hopping on and checking out our little tutorial. This is the first one I've done, guys, so that's pretty There, now can you hear me? Thanks so much for tuning in on this tutorial. I really hope that it was helpful to you. Now, if you've watched this whole thing and said, oops, let me grab my project again so I can show you what it looks like now that it's all done. Most of my pieces, I popped a few out. But if you have watched this tutorial and were like, yeah, that's still a lot of design work that I'm not willing to do, that's okay. If you head down to the description, you are going to see there is a link straight to our Etsy shop that has this file available for you to download. But you're also going to see another link on there, and I invite you to come join us in the Girl with a Glowforge on Facebook. It's a free Facebook group, all for people who have Glowforges, who are making awesome projects. If you're a guy with a Glowforge, come on in, you're welcome too. And you never know what kind of free files and stuff I might drop in there, and the community is already becoming awesome. It's a brand new group. I just started it last week, but the community there is already becoming awesome, and you should definitely come be a part of it. Now, this is kind of my first YouTube tutorial like this, and so rumor has it you're supposed to tell everybody to click some crazy red button somewhere around my head that says subscribe, and if you do, I would love for you to, first and foremost, and I hear that's important, but I would love for you to subscribe to our channel so that you get notified when we have new tutorials. I've got some cool stuff I've got planned. I'm new to the Glowforge, and so everything is new to me, and I cannot wait to help you figure out how to use yours too. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay crafty, and we will be talking to you soon. Bye, guys!